Were you able to see the relationship to that next problem too? The one about running 10 different confidence intervals and what it does to confidence? I'm guessing you did, based on that. Hang on a second, let me just fire up what we're doing
We looked
today.
at it together and then I looked at it last night.
Okay. Okay. So so I had pointed you back in that one problem, the relative risk problem. I had pointed you back to the extra resources page, and I'm assuming you found what I was talking about there, with the hazard ratio and relative risk, and it all made sense. Okay, good, very good. Well, interestingly enough, that came up in a college-wide discussion recently about flu vaccines. It's kind of fun that everything we talk about here is timely. It's always fun when it's exactly timely. Hang on one sec. Got a couple things I want to fire up here. But right after that, in the extra resources, there was a talk about checking a randomizer. Did anybody get down into that problem? I'm guessing you didn't because of, okay.
Is that the Gallup?
No. It's way more specific than that. The Gallup poll, the one in the extra resources. If you go down, I'll just show it to you. Hang on.
I may have read it, but
Not made the connection?
Yeah.
Okay, so the reason I did that problem on that exam was we had conversationally talked about it a number of times in class.
Right.
And then this was just kind of making it formal, making sure that you could run the math behind that idea. Let me just show you where it is.
I knew we talked about it.
Right, and that's why I always worry about talking about something versus getting in and crunching the numbers to make sure it all makes sense. So we were in here. So you guys got to the hazard ratio part, which was down here somewhere. Well, it was right here, actually. It was above it. It wasn't below it. It was above it. It was up here. So you're checking a randomizer with 10 values. And then this next bit talks about running a confidence interval for each of the 10 values, and then looking at all 10 confidence intervals together and what happens to overall confidence. Now, if you remember back to our discussions about this, you have to go back about a week and a half now, because we've been talking about hypothesis testing for so long. When you're 95% confident, what does that mean again? What does that mean again?
That's not what she's talking about. She's talking about the last three questions.
That's what I'm talking about too.
The information that you use.
You use data, what type of
what
data do you use?
Oh! Literally, they'll go out and find a...
No,
after that, you had
After
one
that,
that
you-
wanted us. You made it an open-ended question saying...
Oh, the T interval versus the Z interval.
And
Right.
then we had some
What kind of
bullet points
data?
to look at.
Oh, what kind of data? We were talking about that since 243. Oh, Jesus, turn this off. Why do we have two different kinds of intervals? Think 243. You have to think. Don't think like just right now.
The Z interval is for sample sizes larger than 30, and
Maybe.
the T interval is
Isn't it
for sample
percentages
sizes
and
smaller than 30.
averages?
Right. Percentages versus averages. One's when you're doing discrete data, taking a percentage of it, and one's when you're taking averages of data. Sample size is kind of related, but it doesn't have to be. I mean, you can have as big and as small a sample size as you want as long as you accept error. The big idea was that if you have a percent, if you're counting data and then taking a percentage versus measuring data and then taking an average, that's the...
I just thought it was more complicated than that.
Oh, Jesus, no!
Yeah.
Why do you guys insist on making things harder than they have to be? Jesus, stop that. Big picture. Have I taught you nothing in 5 weeks? Jesus, no. I mean, that's why I also split off the third kind of interval that most of the courses talk about, which is measuring variance, because it's too similar to one of the other ones, and I can keep it dichotomous. That's why we have Z and T, remember? Z and T. The point you have countable data and measurable data. Percentages, averages. That's...
Oh, okay.
What are the other bullet points? I've forgotten them now.
Well, I think the one that's showing people was the very last one was very open-ended. It's just what kind of data.
Good! So what kind? Use
data.
collect, well, all data is collected, but how do you collect it? What are the kind? We've talked about two kinds of data from 243 to this very moment. What are they? That's okay, that's okay. Maybe it's because we take it for granted so much we don't so spinning pennies, counting heads. Discrete. Yo, dang it. Now Tyler, since it's open-ended, you could have said something else that's totally valid. But what I was looking for was no more than just simply discrete data for Z intervals and continuous data for T intervals. That's all I was looking for. You guys were trying to get way more than that out of it. Oh my God, would you stop doing that to yourselves? I am not a tricky guy. I'm a big picture guy, huh? I'm a big picture guy, yeah? Now, chances are you said something that was completely valid. But that's all you had to say, was that. Does that make sense? If you said more, chances are you got the idea in what you said, which is why I like open-ended questions. You guys can talk yourselves right into the correct answer. And you often do. But I don't want you losing sleep over it. It sounds exciting. Something damn, too late. You can pick up tonight.
I know, we have over and over.
Oh God, guys. Oh no.
You're not.
No. And you gotta remember too, some of you emailed me a couple days ago about individual questions and I got right back to you. You could always do that. Just make sure you give me enough time. Like if anybody sent me a note last night, I didn't even get it. I apologize, I haven't checked email since about, I don't know, 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon. But you can always email me with questions. I emailed a couple of you about the exam. Some of you sent me screenshots and things like that, which are great. That's fantastic. That's great communication. I will help you with them. Especially if it's to put you at ease a little bit so you're not so worried. I don't want you worrying about this. Good God. Fair? Yeah. So go get some sleep. I apologize for anybody that lost any brain
We'll
cells.
be fine if you just give us all extra 10 points.
For what? Metric it for me if you would. You know, it's so funny. It's so funny because I feel like I'm ruining you guys as statisticians. But I'm in the middle of negotiations. I've been for you guys that have me for a while now. You know, it's been 2 years plus. And we're in the middle of discussing this task force, and I keep bringing up the idea of how are you going to measure that? So again, the question I just asked you that you all laughed about. You know, why? Give me like a metric that I should apply 10 points to. And we laugh because we know it's a joke, right? You should see the blank faces in meetings when I say that. How are you going to measure the effect of spending that $100,000? Huh? Like, how do you know if it actually worked? What do you mean? Like, see, but that's the. But then when I suggested that you go somewhere else, it's like, no, we can't do that. And I'm like, well, why? I can actually show you how it could be measured if you do it this way. Huh? So I worry that I'm giving you guys a tool that's going to get you a lot of blank looks in meetings later on in your lives. Just heads up, just so you know. Just so you know. I'm also giving you a wonderful tool. I'm not giving you anything. I shouldn't say I'm giving you anything. We're learning it together. I learn as much from you as you guys learn from me. But we're developing this wonderful, wonderful idea of metricing everything as much as we can. Which is why I love it when you have these open-ended questions and you go up here with them. Because God knows what you guys said. I can't wait to see it now. I'm excited. Oh, speaking of totally non-related, did Blackboard behave? I take everything back I said about Blackboard negatively. I've been bitching about that thing for 5 weeks now. I went into it last night and spent about 5 hours just pulling papers down and looking at it. It works like a charm. It works like a charm. What I've discovered, you know the phrase, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. You've always heard that phrase. It's not working for about 5% of students. And for whatever reason. There's all kinds of reasons it's not, whether it's login issues, whether it's those weird glitches that happen with software. It's nobody's fault, it's just this. But those 5% generate 99.5% of the volume that I hear. So I'm getting this totally biased feedback from Blackboard that it sucks because students are having a hard time. 19 out of 20 are not having a hard time. They're having no problem at all. So I'm glad to hear that for you guys it worked just fine. I am learning how better to implement. I was fully planned on this. Week 5, I'm halfway done with Blackboard. Get that piece of shit out of my life. Now I'm like, okay, all I gotta do is re-attack my attack at the beginning of each term and make sure I can catch those 5% of students that are having trouble and deal with them right off the bat. Yeah, I'm stoked. It's smooth. It's easy. Oh, God.
I never have a problem with Blackboard, but I like writing out.
And that's why I'm totally cool with you guys scanning your work and sending it to me. That's why I said that on there. I mean, you could type it up or you could write it up and send it in. Blackboard's just a mailbox. It's not you don't have to submit it electronically.
Yeah, Blackboard's fine.
Yeah. I mean, I'm seeing that now too. It is fine for 95+% of people. It's just not working for those 5%. I just got to work on those 5 and get them more comfortable with it. We'll get there.
I've taken every single one of my math classes on
some kind of electronic submission, right? Whether it's Hawks or WebAssign or Blackboard. Yeah. And I was one of the last, I mean, I tried it years ago and it backfired on me, but I was trying to make it do something it wasn't supposed to do at the time. Hell like me. And, well, it wouldn't, anyway. I basically should have just used a WordPress blog to do what I was trying to get Blackboard to do. But, and I had this terrible experience, I'm never use it again. Now I go in and I'm like, oh my God, this is seamless. What am I complaining about? So, anyway. So stop thinking so damn hard. Think enough, but don't overthink. Fair? Good? Maybe. Getting there. It's week 5, we're halfway done. It's kind of nice. Yeah? You guys still look pissed. It's all right. We'll deal with that
It's
too.
lack of sleep.
It's lack of sleep. That could be. Well, and that brings up another, Elizabeth, that brings up another good point. I don't put the exam up 3 weeks early just for my health. I'll leave it at that. I put
It wasn't from staying up too late.
mostly
It was
for
from
your health. From the panic. I got you, from the agita. Well, then you email me. Like I said, I did hear from a couple students, but very, very few, a very small percentage. I'd say Sigma was about 5%. Or Alpha, not Sigma, damn it. Trying to make a stat joke, it didn't work. Hate that.
Maybe we all need coffee this morning.
Well, I'm still drinking it, don't worry. Okay, I want to get into this today, and I have an in-class quiz for us to play with. Yes, and then I want to actually get into creating our own results of tests, which is one of my favorite things to do, is actually start running the tests from the data. So what we're doing is kind of we're working backwards a little bit. So, and like I think I